In the next 10 minutes, I'll share 5 valuable insights and teach you a 3-step system that will completely change the way you approach your music while saving you years of trial and error as a music producer. Even if you're a beginner, this video will be super easy to understand, so I can guarantee that you'll improve your music after watching this video. In the end, I'll also share the most valuable insights that I've learned as a professional that personally changed my perspective on what it means to make great sounding music. When I first started producing my own stuff, I remember spending hours and hours trying to crack some plugins, looking around for presets, templates, and all of these things. But I didn't even understand how to use a DAW or what most of those plugins actually did. And it got to a point where I was just automatically using the same plugins and presets every single time, without even knowing what I was doing. So I kept getting the same sound, it wasn't any good, and I just didn't feel like I was improving. It was only when I started my music degree in the UK that I finally realized things wouldn't get any better if I just kept doing what I was doing, no matter how much time I put into it. So I guess that what I'm trying to say is to focus on what really matters. Learn the foundations, study music theory if it's relevant to you, listen to some high quality music, and dedicate some time to understanding what makes a great song or composition. Also, don't spend too much time going over gear or plugins when you're just getting started. Stock plugins work just fine, and getting knowledge should be your top priority. With that being said, avoid doing random stuff just because you watched a new tutorial online. Make sure you understand the reason why you're doing what you're doing, and always try to learn from professionals, or you'll be spending lots of time fixing bad habits just like I did. But actually, how do you know what actions to take, and how do you know that you're making the correct decisions? Well, if you don't know what good music is supposed to sound like, then I guess that you'll always just be guessing or following your intuition. This is where your listening skills and references become extremely important. Developing your critical listening skills is as simple as listening to high quality music in decent listening conditions. The earlier you start, the sooner you'll be able to go from beginner to professional production, simply because you know what professional music's supposed to sound like, so you'll eventually be able to get there. And be aware that playing some Spotify tracks on your phone is fairly different than listening to professional audio files in your stereo monitors. These audio files should be lossless commercial releases provided by industry professionals that clearly know what they're doing. Building your own reference folder with both mixed and mastered audio files is another thing you should start doing right away. This can be used not only for critical listening, but also as guides within your projects, meaning that when you're producing, you can load these files into your projects and then A/B them to understand what you might need to improve on your track. Again, without them, you'll just be guessing or following your intuition, so you'll experience a lot of back and forth. Trust me. And since getting your hands on these audio files might be tricky, I'm providing you a few samples from my own folder that I've built over time. I'm sharing 3 mixed and 3 mastered references from different genres, so I'm sure you'll find something useful. All you need to do is download the files using the link in the description. So I think it's about time I shared the real secret behind successful music producers. Do you want to know how to improve your music? Well, there's no better answer than this. Always finish your projects. That's right, finishing a track is actually a skill you can develop, one that you might still be missing. Because it's easy to start, right? You open a new project, get a random melody or drum loop going on, but then you just can't build up on that idea. And I knew lots of people exactly like this. They would share a few ideas with me every single day, but when I eventually asked them if it's finished, guess what? It's like they even forgot the project existed. So in the end, nothing's really getting done, and you won't improve because you're not looking at a finished track. But hear me out, because I'm about to tell you my personal trick that makes finishing a project extremely simple. Back when I was studying music in the UK, I eventually came across this compositional practice called minimalism that completely changed my perspective. In minimalism, people intentionally strip their compositions back to their essential elements, focusing on repetitive patterns, steady pulses, and predictable harmonies. In contrast, modern genres are often overcooked, which is not necessarily bad, but often it just ends up as too much noise. So what I've learned from that music form is that less is actually more. I adopted the philosophy that it's not about what I can add, but what can I remove, restraining myself from endlessly adding elements that don't contribute to the composition. As a result, it's now very simple for me to finish my projects, and every single one of them sounds professional and intentional. So those were the 5 insights that I just wanted to share with you before we actually dive into the practical tips. By now, you understand that there's a lot more to music production than just opening a DAW and playing some melodies. However, once you're in your DAW and are looking forward to getting a track done, there's actually a 3-step system that ensures a professional quality sound by the end of the session every time. These aren't complicated steps or processes that require extraordinary knowledge, but rather actionable steps that you can start implementing in your workflow right away. So let's dive in. First, after many years of producing, mixing, and mastering music, I realized that there's only as much you can do as the sound selection allows you to. It's pretty much for producers what recording engineers refer to as get it right at the source. And sound selection might not be the most exciting thing to do, but it's extremely important you do it right. But what does it mean to do sound selection right, and how do you actually improve? The first tip is to explore a lot of different sounds and VSTs. Just like critical listening, the more you go through sounds and mess around with different VSTs, the better you'll become. And tip number 2, always try sounds in context with your track. After you go through all the sounds, pick the ones you like the most, throw them into your project, and try them in context with your mix. Lastly, tip number 3 is to analyze professional references to understand the sounds they're using and how the songs are structured. And as a bonus, don't forget to save the sounds you like the most, so you avoid spending a lot of time looking for them in the next session. You'll be thanking me for this one. Moving to the next step in the system, there's the stereo and depth field. But here's the trick. Although I'm referring to this as an individual step, you should also keep it in mind while you're doing sound selection. It will make your life a lot easier as you won't need to make much changes to your sounds later on, saving you lots of time in each session. So let me explain. Imagine a sound that lives in the middle, like my voice as you're watching this video. If this was a song, you'd also expect some elements to come from the sides, such as instruments or some percussion, creating what we refer to as the stereo fields. A professional stereo field can be achieved by soft and hard panning elements from left to right, widening effects like this chorus, or using elements that can occupy a wide space in the stereo fields, which you can do during sound selection. In the same way, you'd also expect some sounds to be up front while others stay in the background. Besides volume differences, you can achieve this by using reverb or even a low-pass filter to place a sound further back. And once you understand this concept and start putting it into practice, you'll be a lot closer to a professional track than you would imagine. The third and final step of this system is contrast and automations. This is maybe the single most important step that clearly separates amateurs from professionals who know what they're doing. Even more now that AI is a broad topic in music production, because it's what enhances the human perception of tension and intensity, creating what I call sonic storytelling, something that AI can't really do. We've got a few videos on our channel about AI and the skills you must master so you don't have to worry about it, so feel free to check that out next. Anyways, imagine you finish your track and it looks like this, a one-way bus trip that's always at the same speed and view. When compared to this, an entire journey where you started on a boat, took a bus to an airport and landed on the other side of the world, you can probably tell which one was more exciting. And you can achieve this massive difference on your projects simply by making use of automations, from raising individual instruments or vocals at key sections, like the chorus, to adjusting their panning across the song or widening the track in specific sections, to even adjusting plugins and creative effects, which can be pretty cool. The options are endless, but it helps creating contrast, building tension within your song, and helping people feel desired emotions when they're supposed to. So don't overlook this and make sure you're making every section of your song feel like it should. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to give this video a like or even subscribe so you can keep helping people. But anyways, there's just one final golden rule that I've learned and want to share with you today. I'm a perfectionist, and as a creator, it's likely you're not that different. Well, that's a good personal trait to have because it means you care and put a lot of effort and dedication into what you do. It's also true that it comes with a few negative aspects that can harm you as a producer. I've already stated how crucial it is to always finish your tracks. Now, I just want to quickly add something to it so you can understand what I'm really trying to say. Always finish your tracks, even if it's not perfect. Because consistency beats perfection. Every time. And it's still better finished than perfect, if you know what I mean. That's all I wanted to share today. If there's anything you've learned and want to share it with us, feel free to drop it in the comments so you can help other people out. Thank you for watching until the end, and I'll see you on the next one.